Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Hey, does it matter if this leaks?
It don't matter to me, can't see it from my house.
Illegal use of hands, improper training.
GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com has 14 different highly skilled trades with tuition-free training in our certified apprenticeship programs to train you the right way. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
All right, there we go. All right, welcome to the 307th episode of the Alfa Insurance Georgia Prep Sports Drive for the GHSA State Title. Today, hopefully, I'm going to be joined by either Coffee or Rockmart. They were originally scheduled, but some things came up last minute. I think Coffee, Coach Mike Coe, they're having a photo shoot in Waycross today for the state championship. And then Rockmart, they just got scheduled a region meeting I'm going to try to get on Coffee later this week. However, it's going to be tough on Friday because they're actually going to Mercedes-Benz Stadium to do a walkthrough. So that will be exciting. Hopefully we can get them on. But as you guys know, the state championships are going to be next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So I'm going to start the show just going over the main themes and storylines for each matchup. And then there's some specific storylines I want to get a little bit deeper in. One of them is going to be Bowden, their rematch with Manchester. These are very familiar opponents. They faced last year in the season opener. Bowden won that one. Manchester won this year's 21-20. So we'll look at the stats, see where each team has improved since then, and try to predict that matchup. And then as for the Prince Avenue Christian one, as you guys know, Aaron Philo is just 301 yards away from breaking the all-time career passing record. And 301 yards away, and he's actually averaging 329 yards per game this season. So we'll look at his game by game, look at the playoffs, and just see what the likelihood of that is. But let's go ahead and get started with the state championship themes. All right, so top trends. There are just two defending state champions this year, Bowden and Prince Avenue Christian, that made their way back to the finals. Prince Avenue Christian against Swainsboro is going to be the only rematch from last year. So a lot of fresh faces. Additionally, last year Prince Avenue won that one 52-34 over Swainsboro. 4 programs have an opportunity to achieve their first ever state championships this year. And then Class 4A between Stockbridge and Perry is the lone matchup that is guaranteed to crown a first ever state champ, as both of those are seeking their first ever state titles. The Class 7A championship represents just how competitive the playoffs were across the state, as undefeated Walton and Milton meet up for the finals. Both teams earned number 1 seeds, but had to go on the road in the playoffs to earn perhaps their biggest victories. For Walton, it was in the quarterfinals, their 56-35 win over host Carrollton, and then Milton, they went on the road once. That was last week, semifinals at Grayson, 45-35. So despite being the number 1 seed, they lost those coin flips, went on the road, proved that they can get it done away from home. It's a big deal heading into this neutral matchup. So as a result of Milton's win over Grayson, and then obviously Walton's over Camden, Georgia's highest classification, will have a championship matchup without either a Gwinnett County team or a South Georgia team in it for the first time since 1985. A truly incredible stat. Milton is 1-1 all-time in its previous finals appearances, while Walton is 0-1 after falling in its only previous finals trip in 2011. So that's 7A. In Class 6A, that matchup presents an opportunity for Thomas County Central and Woodward Academy to snap lengthy championship droughts. The last time Thomas County Central won a state title came in 1997. That was during their incredible run, Joe Burns, all those guys, where they had 5 state titles in a 6-year span. Woodward Academy's 2 championships came in 1970 and 1980, and this will be their first finals appearance since that 14-10 win over Marist in the 1980 championship. So, talked about the title droughts in 6A. It's either going to be 1997 for Thomas County Central or 1980 for Woodward Academy to snap those. In Class 5A, Coffee's 1 win away from its first ever title, and its defense is the best out of all the finalists this season, allowing just 6.14 points per game. The Trojans will take on a Creekside team that has gone 12-0 within the state of Georgia. They went 1-1 out of state, obviously lost to Mater Dei, and then they won over, I think it was St. Peter's, it was the school from New Jersey. So they went 1-1 out of the state. But within the state, the 12-0 record, they are averaging 45.3 points per game while allowing just 13.25. So they'll be going up against that defense that's allowing just 6.1, but they've been putting up 45 a game. Creekside's first and only state title came in 2013. That was a great team. I remember that matchup. I was there for that. And the Seminoles will be making their second all-time finals appearance. So for that championship drought, first time in a decade for Creekside, and it would be the first ever for Coffee. All right, so 4A, we mentioned that's the only one guaranteed to crown a first-time state champ. And Perry set a new state record by making the finals this year after its 70th season of existence. That broke Milton's previous record that was set when they made it in 2018. That was 69 seasons before a finals appearance. So 70 years, that's impressive, but for Stockbridge, they're actually number 6 all-time. They needed 60 seasons to reach its first finals. So both those programs have been really knocking on the door. We'll talk about what that matchup entails later on, but obviously the big storyline surrounding that was Stockbridge's win over Benedictine, snapping the two-time defending state champs' 24-game win streak with a 45-31 win last round. Both those teams have been outstanding. Stockbridge hasn't lost within 4A this season. Their toughest game came in the quarters when they had to rally back against Westminster. But as for Perry, they are extremely battle-tested, and Coulter Gin has been very huge. And so they have one loss this season, but the thing you can say about them, when Coulter is starting, they have not lost. So it's a great matchup that I cannot wait for. All right, in Class 3A, Cedar Grove is back in the finals for the 6th time in 8 seasons. And I think they actually have the most state titles out of... Okay, they're one behind. So in terms of the most all-time state titles, you got Thomas County Central with 5, and then Cedar Grove with 4. Came pretty close to number 5 last year. But they have a chance to match them. All right, so they're back looking for... against Savannah Christian, who's looking for its first state title since 2011. So not as long of a drought with those two opponents in 3A, with Cedar Grove in the midst of its dynasty, and Savannah Christian winning one as recently as 2011. In Class 2A, finalist Pierce County has an opportunity to win its second since 2020 when it won its first, and then its opponent Rockmart sits a win away from achieving its second all-time state title and first since 1950. So that'd be a huge drought broken for the Yellowjackets. All right, the Class A Division I final between Prince Ave and Swainsboro has historic implications as we laid out. Aaron Philo's 301 yards away from the all-time record, 13,902 yards that Trevor Lawrence set. Finally, in Class A Division II, the championship will be the lone rematch within the 2023 season. Manchester opened the season with a 21-20 win over Bowden, and the teams are going to face off again. Bowden is seeking a consecutive state title, and Manchester is aiming for its first since 1997. So those are the main trends, and I think it just shows you have a lot of programs that have been waiting a long time to get to this stage. It's going to be a big lineup start to finish at the Bend. It's going to be really exciting, and I'm interested to see what game is going to have the biggest crowd. I think the 6A one will be huge. Woodward's not as big of a school, but Thomas County Central might have the single biggest fan base represented. But then I got to think Walton is really going to show out in that Wednesday finale, and then Milton will be well represented also. And I'm interested to see what the total numbers are, because Mercedes-Benz Stadium hasn't really had a chance to host. The first year, it got like pushed back and delayed. They had to go to the middle of the week. The second year, they had to pull it halfway through with the weather that happened. But even still, they had over, I think it was like 45,000 fans show up, which is incredible. So I think when they tally these numbers after the 3 days, I mean, you're talking about in the middle of the week drawing this much at the gate. I think it's going to say a lot about how much Georgia has meant in the high school football world, and then how big of a positive deal it is that it's back at the bins where it belongs. I cannot wait for it. But let's see what I had pulled up. All right, let's look at Bowden's matchup this year with Manchester. And so they actually opened their season with back-to-back losses. They also dropped it to Central Carroll in their second one. We know how good they were. Can't really fault them for that. So in that matchup, Manchester completed just one pass, 1 of 6 passing, and an interception. So they did it all on the ground, had a huge day. 32 carries, 339 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Keelan Whitaker, he had a game-high 130 yards and 2 touchdowns, and then junior Javon Favors chipped in with 4 carries, 59 yards, and a touchdown as well. Darius Favors, Javon's brother, he had 7 carries for 49 yards, and then sophomore Benji Kempson, 5 carries, 61 yards. So all of those guys I mentioned for Manchester are underclassmen that are going to be back. So this is a big opportunity for them, right in that sweet spot of their varsity careers, to lead that program to a state title. As for Bowden, it was a one-man show offensively. Kyler McGrin, 34 carries in a season opener. That is pretty impressive. For 170 yards and a touchdown. Bowden was held to just 179 yards on 50 attempts. That's only a 3.6 yards per carry average, well down from last year. And then McGrin's also their quarterback. He was 9 of 13 for 103 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. And I said this yesterday, I think with this Bowden team, last year they were so dominant on the offensive line. They were so dominant running the football. I think the fact that they had to replace a lot of those guys, it's made them a more balanced offense out of necessity. They've been more willing to throw the ball. I think that could help them out because they have gotten better as the season went on. They had enough offensive firepower to top Slide County in the last round, which was the best offense in that classification this season. And I think that's going to help them out. You had Caden Prothrow in that matchup, the 1-point loss. He had 2 catches for a touchdown, 21 yards. Sophomore Berkeley Perkins stepping up, 2 catches, 22 yards. And then senior Jordan Beasley, 4 catches, 45 yards, and a touchdown. So those are some names to watch. Let's pull up their overall stats this season. And then I'm going to compare it to last year to see where that offensive balance was in terms of pass run. Okay, so a year ago, they averaged 105 yards passing, 288 through the air. This year, so once again, that's 105 passing. This year, it's gone up to 141 passing. Then the run game last year was at 288 per game. This year, it's actually 292. So that's impressive. I mean, the offensive output's been even better this year, despite losing that, being able to go through the air a little bit more. And then at the quarterback position, last year it was Robert McNeil, who, as you know, was a huge impact player for them. He had a great performance in the state championship last year. He passed for 14 touchdowns, just 3 interceptions, and then rushed for 1,400 yards and 19 touchdowns. They have managed to replace that with McGrin. He has gone for 1,900 yards this season, 24 touchdown passes. That's that passing attack that's improved this year. And then he has, he's gained 1,965 yards. Pretty incredible what they've been able to do, and 30 touchdowns. So same offensive as last year, but they've managed to add a little more firepower. I think it's a tough matchup for Manchester. I really do. They matched up week 1 of the season. They do have more guys that are sharing the carrying capacity, but I just think the way Bowden does it, putting the ball in the quarterback's hand and his ability to pass, that's going to be very tough. I like Bowden's offense a lot. I love what Coach Finley's been doing. So that's going to be a great matchup to start things off. As you guys remember last year, that was the first boys matchup, and it was a classic. And really every single game came down to the last play until the Class 5A, where Warner Robins kind of got outmatched late by Ware County, and they ran away with it. Other than that, I mean, it was outstanding football. So that's going to be the first one. Let's go ahead. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back on the other side.
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
All right, welcome back. So let's look at Class A Division I and break down Aaron Philo's numbers this season. Just 301 yards away. So this past round against Bryan County, he had a season-high 490 yards through the air and 4 touchdowns. Against Irwin County, this was the second highest output this season, 448 yards and 4 touchdowns. Against Mount Vernon that would have been the second round. They had the first round bye. He had 207 yards passing. That was a season low, but his team won 72-41. So he wasn't needed that much. They ran the ball really well, just completely dominated. They beat Social Circle in their season finale 49-3. In their loss to Mary Persons, the only one of the season, he had 2 interceptions. That was a multi-interception game. He also had 2 interceptions against Pensacola Catholic early in the season in non-region out-of-state play. And then against, who was that? Jasper County. He had 3 interceptions, but 6 touchdowns. So he's been in the playoffs, obviously averaging well above 301 yards. However, if the game plan calls for it, I mean, they're going to do what they need to do to win this football game. So I think it's probably 80% chance he gets it, but you never know. They have been able to go through the air, but he has been absolutely lighting it up, and this team is really impressive. Some people thought they might be vulnerable when they lost that game to Mary Persons, and then look at the response after that. They've just been blowing people out. And the crazy thing that I cannot wait to see, can't wait to see him play on television, is Hudson Hill, the freshman receiver. I've never seen anything like it with what Prince Ave is able to do year in and year out with these 1,000-yard receivers. To have a freshman come in and have 72 catches, 1,107 yards, and 17 touchdowns is incredible. for a freshman. I mean, he's on pace now to. I mean, they'll have a good quarterback replace Aaron next year, but he's on pace to challenge the all-time receiving record with a freshman season like that. That's Hudson Hill. He's going to be number 2, and definitely will be an exciting player to watch in that game, see how he handles that state championship atmosphere. C.J. Dockery, just a sophomore. He's going to be back. 815 yards and 11 touchdowns. You got Cosby. That's what's his first name? Connor. Yeah, Connor Cosby. He's got 42 catches, 615 yards, and 6 touchdowns. I mean, if you look at their receivers, let's see. This is how many guys have caught a touchdown pass this season for them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You got 10 different guys that have caught touchdowns. You got Talmadge has 3, Hurley 6, Hester 6, Scoggins 2, Cosby 6, Dockery 11, Hill 17. I mean, all these guys are just, they're spreading the ball out so well. They're so hard to stop. And I'm sure a lot of people have seen Prince Ave play before, but it really is exciting football. And I think it's going to be their game to lose. They have been wire to wire number 1 ranked this entire season, obviously for good reason. They did have the one game they lost, but when they're on their A game, their offense is capable of putting up 70 points against anyone. All right, so Swainsboro, their season's been a little different. They started out outstanding. They were number 2. Some people thought about the idea of putting them number 1 after that Prince Ave lost, but then they lost some really close region battles. They dropped a 21 to 20 game at Bluckley County. That was October 27th, and then they got upset by Dublin, a great Dublin team, the following week, 41 to 20. So that was okay. Coach Coe is calling right now, so let me just get him on the line. Hey, Coach, can you hear me?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, thank you so much for getting back to me. I know you're busy today, so you said it was a photo shoot?
Yeah, some coaches award thing in Waycross.
Nice. Yes, so I want to ask you about that. Obviously, this is something that an obligation you had to do, but what's the logistics going to be for the championships? Are you guys going to get that walkthrough opportunity before the big game? And then what are you thinking in terms of just how many people are going to be traveling up for it?
Yeah, so we'll be very similar to what we did against Cartersville. We'll leave a little bit earlier. On Tuesday, we'll do our walkthrough during class like we always do. That'll be our typical Thursday practice. And then we'll take them to eat uptown, and then we'll do our send-off through town, and drive up. We'll stop at Buc-ee's. They love stopping at Buc-ee's. Who don't, you know? And then we're staying in Roswell, and then we're actually going to take them to watch TCC and Woodward Academy that night, just where they can get a feel for the dome and the wow factors kind of eliminated. And then, you know, next morning we'll get up and normal deal. We may go back to Georgia Tech like we did against Cartersville. That's been offered to us. We hadn't made our mind up yet with that. You know, it's just kind of a fine line. You don't want to do too much. You know, but I think we're about 80-something kids dressing, 83, 84 maybe.
Nice. No, that's going to be a lot of fun. So, yeah, you guys are going to play the second to last game right before 7A. I think the crowd's going to be crazy. That's cool that you're going to get to see the 6A one. I think that's going to be a great matchup. But I want to ask you about the Cartersville game. You guys got off to such a strong start. What stood out in that one? Just the way you guys were able to jump out to that lead and close it out.
Well, you know, it kind of started off, we got the ball. They kind of got some funky formations early, and we misaligned a little bit, but we got them in the dirt, you know, and played the next play. And defense went up stopping them, and then they pinned us. I think they pinned the punt down there 3 or 4 yard line. And We wound up punting out of there, and our punter's been really good all year. They got us down there twice, actually, and then he had a really good punt, and I think we got them a 3 and out. We put a drive together, and, just kind of like it's been all year, we just try to get first downs, man, and our thought process is if we can get a first down, that's 3 more times that our battering ram may get the ball, 3 more times they have to tackle him, or we can play action. Last week we used a little more option game than we had previously, and it just kind of, we scored down there. It was 7-0. We scored, and they called it back. They called Fred for hurdling. Worst rule in America. Every ref has a different interpretation of it. And so we kicked a field goal, and then we went up 17-0. And and we knew that they'd come back after halftime quite a bit. So I felt like coming out that first drive and scoring and making it 24-0 was huge. Really, really good job by our offense. And then they popped a few plays and got a little momentum, and I thought our offense responded. At the end, we had another touchdown call back, 40-yard run that Fred broke. Was an amazing run. But we wound up pinning them. We took a delay game, pinned them down there. We wound up getting a safety, and then we ran the clock out. Two really big onside kick recoveries. And, our kids, we played them last year, so we knew what we were facing. And what a great environment to play in. And they're really well coached, and they're going to play hard. But I felt like our tempo on offense was faster than it had been all year. And our kids are in tremendous shape, and I don't think they were tired after the game. I think they could have kept going, and I felt like our physicality on defense, and then our ability to cover, our DBs have gotten so much faster. We always play with 5 DBs, sometimes 6, but all of them are interchangeable. Every one of them can play nickel, every one of them can play strong or free, and every one of them can play corner. So we feel really comfortable with matchups, and then Coach Granado does a great job of, if they have a stud receiver, of trying just to eliminate him. We play some really darn good ones. The kid from Bainbridge, and then the kid from Bowles. Bowles had 2 of them. And then the kid from Jones, obviously, and then the kid from Cass that's going to Georgia. So we've played 5, and then of course Ware's got a bunch of them. So 6 games this year we've played tremendous receiving cores, and I think we've given up 28 points in those 2 games. So feel really comfortable with our DBs, and 2 of our 3 linebackers can run really well. So gave up 18 points. That's the most we've given up in a game, but I was really proud of our defense's ability to play the next play, because they stopped all 3 2-point conversions. So that was good for us, faced a little adversity, and we found a way to finish the game. And I was really proud of our kids afterwards. I mean, they were happy, but they didn't act like they won the Super Bowl. They feel like we got one more left, which we do. And so far, we've got a really, really good start to our prep for Creekside.
Yep, and you'll get a little more time to prepare for that matchup. That's interesting. So regarding your secondary, I mean, have you seen them really come together throughout this year? Obviously, the defense has been strong all year long, but you mentioned some of these matchups with the Sokovie Whites and some of these big playmakers. I mean, do you just see, like, clean play, good footwork, textbook?
Oh, yeah. I brought in, which we kept Coach Strickland, who's been here forever, tremendous DB coach. And then I brought in Coach Alex Brown, who played for me at Madison for 2 years, and then he played at Lowndes his last 2. He'd been coaching at Valdosta. He played at Valdosta State, was a nickel on their national championship team, and I brought him in, and he's working with our corners. Coach Granado, my defense coordinator, he's a defensive back coach at heart. So we really got 3 true DB coaches that are phenomenal. But what they went and did this offseason, they went and got faster. They all ran track, and we believe in taking away the easy access throws, not let the quarterback get comfortable, not let him catch and throw. We work really hard on screens because we know it's coming. We work really hard on screen and go, bubble and go, smoke and go. We show our kids that all the time. Our D linemen play the screen really well, and our DBs, it allows us to maybe not have to bring 5 or 6 all the time. We can bring 4, and it gives them a little time to get home to the quarterback, and we move our guys. We're not real big. Our biggest kid on D is about 234, and so we move them a lot. We stunt and slant, and you name it. But I think our football IQ defensively at every level is the biggest change. They're all really, really smart. They communicate really well. They trade off routes and play with great eye discipline. So, that's what we'll have to continue to do.
Yep. And the defense, I mentioned it. You guys have the best defense statistically heading into the finals out of all the classes. And then offensively, Fred Brown, he had a great junior season. But really the difference this year is he's just taken a lot more carries, been even more involved. What have you seen with him, and how does that complement the team to just have him able to take that load offensively?
Well, I think number one thing he's done, he's grown up as a human being, as a young man. He's more mature. When I first got here, he'd have good days, and then he'd have days where, I'd want to put my foot in his behind, and you work through that. You build relationships with kids, and it's turned into a thing where you don't have to get on him. He wants to please you. He knows you love him. He knows you want what's best for him, and he's just, he got a lot faster. He lost about 7 or 8 pounds. He slimmed up some, and he is a monster in the weight room, and he's built for it. I mean, he is built, to take that load. I got a guy in our touchdown club after every game, he's going to text me how many carries did Fred Brown have. And last week he texted me, and I told him not enough. He told it 40 times. I didn't know at the time, but he texted me after the game, how many Fred have? And I said, not enough. Whatever he had, he needed about 4 more. But we do a good job of taking care of him during the week. Getting reps with Hansley, his backup, who's a really good football player, and then some of the younger running backs. And Fred does a good job taking care of his body and getting hydrated and all that. But, I mean, it's just who he is. He wants the ball. He loves running the ball. Our O-line loves blocking for him. A big difference is our receivers are so unselfish. They block so hard for our offense, and I showed our touchdown club that last night. But Fred's just prepared. He had a heck of an off season. Didn't miss any school, didn't miss any summer workouts, and just got his body ready to rock and roll. And he loves playing football, And he's a really good pass. His pass pro is really good. He's got good hands to be a big fella. I mean, he's a lot more than just an inside guy. He can run sweep and do those things as well. So I'm really proud of him. And he deflects all the attention. He doesn't really like it. He's kind of a shy kid when cameras come around and all that. So I like that about him too.
Yeah, he had a big game against Cartersville, the season high 40 carries, but you guys rushed for 343 as a team, as you guys said. Just absolute dominant performance. Maurice played well, passing the ball 10 of 12. So it looks like the offense has been great. But what did you sense from Fred after the game, knowing that he has put in the work, it's been paying off for him, and now you guys have an opportunity, he has an opportunity to go to the bins, match up with Creekside, and get that title back to Coffee?
Well, just, that we're not finished. I thought our kids celebrated, but it wasn't like we won the Super Bowl. After I got done doing the interview and all that, I come in the locker room and shoot. They already changed and headed to the bus. Usually we'll crank the speaker up and have a good time, and they were ready to get on the bus and get home and start getting ready for the next one, So, it sounds cliche, but we really just focus one day at a time and try not to, use all our energy early in the week. I think we do a good job of using our class time effectively, and we practice really fast. Our kids know we lift fast in the weight room, and we practice fast. And they know if they'll get out there and they practice fast, now we're going to do it right. We're not going to sacrifice tempo for doing it, the right way. But they know if they get out there and get after it, we're not going to practice forever, because I don't think you have to. And I think it keeps us fresh. I think our kids, we're as healthy now as we've been all year. Last week was the first time we had our whole team dressed out in 6 weeks. you know. And so we're as healthy now as we have been all year. And if the last 2 days are any sign, they still want to keep playing football. They still want to keep practicing together. I hadn't seen any signs of, man, we're ready for this to end. I think we're still getting better, especially offensively, you know, so that's a good sign.
Yep, and then, Coach, last question, just what stands out to you about the Creekside matchup? Is it the speed, the balance offensively, or just the athleticism? What do you think this matchup's going to entail?
Yeah, all three. Obviously, they're well coached, and they're there for a reason as well. You know, they got some really good size, but they can really run. You know, really run, and they don't lose their cool. You know, they were losing to Jefferson, and they don't lose their cool. They came back quick and tied that thing up, and so a lot of respect for Coach Dixon and what he's done there for a long time, and should be a great matchup.
All right, well, Coach, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck at Buc-ee's, and we'll see you in Atlanta.
All right, thanks, buddy.
Yeah. So there you have it, and yeah, that's always fun. I mean, when you're on the team road trip and you guys get to invade Buc-ee's and storm in there with 100 deep, that's a lot of fun. But I'm excited. I'm excited that they're going to be there on Tuesday in the stands, getting to soak it all in, watch Thomas County Central and Woodward Academy in that big Tuesday night finale, knowing that they're going to be on that field on Wednesday. And you just can't say enough about their defense. When you have a defense that's allowing just 6 points a game, obviously they're doing everything right, but he mentioned it. They aren't the biggest team, but with their secondary so well coached, just with the technique, the footwork, able to get in the back pedal, cover, and then break to the ball. This team is blowing up the screen plays this year. They have 160 total tackles for loss as a team. It's coming from every direction. They swarm to the football. They fly to it. So it's going to be a big challenge for Creekside. They're going to have to block well. They're going to have to set up whoever has the ball in their hand. I mean, you got to get in position, block, get those extra yards, fight for them. And I think it's going to be one of the best matchups, 100%. Both those teams have been 1-2 all season long, and I mean, how can you not be excited about that matchup? It's going to be tremendous. But yeah, the last game, Fred Brown, 40 carries, season high, probably a career high, and 206 yards. So the reason why that's so impressive is last year he had a great season also. He had 17 touchdown runs. He had, averaged 74 per game, but listen to how much his volume has increased from junior season to senior season. All right, so he took 119 carries as a junior, had 17 touchdowns, and 894 rushing yards. This year, he's more than doubled his carries. He has 323, so from 119 to 323, and from basically 900 yards to now he's at 2,300, and he has 23 touchdowns. Last year he had 17, which is a lot, but it's the amount of times he's touching the ball. He's been that unstoppable force. He's 5'10", 200 pounds, been killing it in the weight room, and in the state championship they are not going to be afraid to give him the ball 30 times. And then you got the ability to pass and then bring in fresh running backs. They rushed for 343 last week. So as good as that Coffee defense is, they also have one of the best backs in the state in that backfield with Fred Brown. So it's going to be a heck of a matchup. Cannot wait for it. 5A is going to be epic. And reminder, it's right before the Class 7A between Walton and Milton. So they just actually released, looks like they're starting with 7A and 6A in the newsletter. They just released their preview and their Maxwell predictions. So I always like looking at what the computer says through the various, I guess, projections that they run to predict a winner. So let's look at it real quick. In the semifinals, last time they met, Milton ran away with that one, 52-17. It was a much closer game than that, but once they seized control before the half. They just, ran away with it. Milton did that to a lot of teams back then with their physicality, great running backs, great big quarterbacks. Once they got you, they just physically closed out games and punished you. This year it's a little different. They're more air-minded. They pass the ball more, and they're more explosive in that capacity rather than just physically closing out the games. All right, so this will be the first championship, as we mentioned, without a Gwinnett or South Georgia team since '85. Walton is from Cobb County. Milton is from Fulton. Walton has been the last remaining Cobb County team the last 3 seasons, and Jeremy Hecklinski has been the quarterback all 3 of those years. Walton can win its first state title in history. Milton can win its second, first since 2018. Walton is on pace to set a state record for points scored by a team in the highest classification. So I guess they wouldn't beat Hughes last year. Hughes was, I think, in that 740 range. Mill Creek set the highest classification record last year with 712 points. Let's see, Walton's at 695 right now. Walton can become the second team in state history behind 2022 Hughes to score at least 35 points in every game. That is very interesting. Jeremy Hecklinski, a senior committed to Wake Forest, has thrown for 3,711 yards, 48 touchdowns with 3 interceptions. Walton has 2 1,000-yard rushers, Austin Williams, Makari Bodiford, and a 1,000-yard receiver, Cameron Lloyd. Milton's Luke Nickel, a junior committed to Miami, has thrown for 3,709 yards and 38 touchdowns with 4 interceptions. C.J. Wiley leads 7A in receiving yards with 1,428. Milton is less balanced as the Eagles rush for only 119.1 yards per game. Both those teams are rich with college prospects. Walton's includes Hecklinski, Bodiford, Memphis, Hunter Teal, Miami of Ohio, Daniel Calhoun, Georgia, Wendell Gregory, South Carolina, Ashton Woods, North Carolina, Jordan Bam Bride, Navy, all of which are seniors. Milton has Nickel. Wiley is uncommitted but has over 20 offers. DeBron Gatlin, Texas A&M. Tight end Ryan G., Auburn. Linebacker Ja'Cory Stewart, Kansas. DB Dylan Lewis, Tennessee. And DB Tyler Redmond, Tennessee. Most are juniors. Walton leads the series with Milton 14-6. They've been in the same region 16 occasions over the years. They have one common opponent this season, that's North Cobb. North Cobb beat Milton with their rushing attack 42-27, but lost to Walton 35-27. However, they were up big in that game before Cam Lloyd got Walton back in it with, I think, a 200-yard, 4-touchdown, 3-touchdown game. Walton's only game decided by less than 16 points was that North Cobb game. All right, so average points per game, Walton 49.6, Milton 36.1. Average points allowed, it's pretty much dead even. Walton 15.5, Milton 15.6. Average yards rushing, Walton has the edge 172 to 115. Walton has the edge in passing yards, 286 to 276, but very close. And that is the 7A matchup. And I'm just going to leave it there because we'll have another guest. We'll break down the other matchups on Friday. And then you guys got to tune in tomorrow. I know Najee's going to have a great show and big-time tale of the tapes. I have a feeling he's going to have some good film breakdowns ahead for tomorrow, which is always an exciting segment. I love seeing that. But we'll see you then. Thank you so much for tuning in. Go to scoreatl.com. We'll have our finals previews posted, as well as the Week 3 basketball rankings coming out shortly. So thank you so much. We'll see you then.
What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.